Hello everyone, I'm the Ornery art teacher and today I will be discussing the elements of art. I'll talk about what they are and I'll give tidbits about the 7 of them. I honestly could make a video about each one, but this will just be a small introduction to give you some insight. So let's get going then. What exactly are the elements of art? Essentially, they are visual features of any artwork. They are not an idea or concept, but physical components. Elements are pieces you can see, not something you necessarily have to think about when viewing art. Let me explain further. There are 7 elements of art: line, color, form, shape, space, texture, and value. It's common for art to use several, if not all, of the elements. These pieces shown, created by yours truly, use these specific elements as the main focus. Do you see what I mean with how the elements are physical pieces of the art? If not, let's take it a step further and look at each one individually. Line is a fairly simple one to follow. However, there's more to it than meets the eye. Sure, we have the basic variations of straight and curved, but what about the style of line? A solid line is just like it sounds, no breaks or nothing. An interrupted line, though, has breaks in it, sort of like the tornado on the left. An implied line is a line that isn't directly created as a line. For example, the edge of a shoreline, or how the tornado on the right is composed of lines but doesn't have an actual edge. That last style is psychological. This is a more advanced version of implied. Typically, the artist will use certain guiding points to lead your eyes throughout a piece. The lines don't truly exist, but your eyes form the connections. The definition of color is not as fun as you'd think. Color is just light reflecting off the object back to us. To make up for that, did you know Sir Isaac Newton created the first color wheel after experimenting with a light spectrum? Pretty sweet, right? Anyways, there's 3 properties used to describe color: hue, value, and intensity. Hue is the color itself, nothing fancy. Value is how light or dark the color is. You can get this by adding black or white to it. For example, the value in the piece to the right has mostly black added in certain areas to affect the value. Intensity is how bright or dull a color is, like how the blues near the bottom are pretty different. The blue in the back is more vibrant than the blue on the hand up front. Form is all about shape that occupies an area. It's easier to spot with sculptures or 3D artwork, but can be implemented in 2D artwork with a little help from the other elements. With shading and value, which we'll talk about next, can bring a flat drawing to life. Remember in color when we discussed the properties hue, value, and intensity? Well, value can apply to black and white artwork as well. For instance, contrast is the difference between the lights and darks of a piece. The more contrast you have, the greater the difference is between the values. To make a big statement, sometimes artists will really push the contrast in their art. Shape is any flat two-dimensional form with both length and width. There are 2 types of shapes: geometric and organic. Geometric are the basic shapes such as a circle, square, triangle, hexagon, etc. Organic shapes don't have a geometric name to them. They can be soft or pointy and unmeasurable compared to geometric shapes. My painting of Bruce Lee is composed almost entirely of organic shapes. From the tiniest details to the big background pieces, those are all organic shapes. Space extends to more than just outer space. Space, in art terms, is about the area around, in, or above an object. Let's look at the 2 types: positive and negative space. Positive space is what the objects take up. So on the piece to the right, everything that is black or gray is the positive space. The negative space is the white area between everything else. Texture deals with how an object feels or looks like it could feel. Most sculptures or 3D art automatically have texture even if it's smooth. Texture can be implied in 2D art through certain manipulations. For example, one might draw a tree with texture to make it look more realistic. Here, I made a linoleum print with texture. You can almost feel the flowers popping off the piece, or the coarseness of the skull from the shadows within it. Alright, that's the end of our crash course lesson to the elements of art. I plan to go more in depth for each one in the future, but until then, feel free to do some research on your own. To stay updated, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more art. Thanks for joining me today. See you all for my next art class.